Well, hello everybody. Boy, I've missed you guys quite a bit. I haven't put out a video in quite some time, um, but I have felt inspired lately to start doing that. So I hope you'll stay tuned into the channel. Thank you to everybody who has viewed the many videos that I have up, and thank you for the comments. They're very supportive and positive, indicating that you find the channel really good and informative. Uh, Boy, there's a lot going on, isn't there? I mean, like I said, I haven't produced a video for a while, so a ton has been going on. But as me, probably like you guys, I mean, it seems like every time you turn around, there's, you hear in the news something more to worry about, especially with this COVID stuff, where, at first it was COVID and then it was the Delta variant, and now there's another variant coming. And, and with, we just keep hearing that we're going to keep dealing with this for, it could be years. And I'm here to tell you, it's a real deal. I contracted COVID myself back in early September, and it was tough. It was a real tough thing. Um, there was a couple rough weeks there, boy, and um, but I pulled through with the help and prayers of the people around me, and I'm happy to, again, to be here. I'm literally happy to be alive, and and it definitely is a wake up call on a lot of different levels. Um, Now, that being said, I mean, again, there's tons of other things going on that create, I guess you could say, a state of anxiety for all of us. Not, constantly worrying about our health is enough, and the health of the people that we love. But the economy and kind of what's going on globally in terms of various tensions. It just seems, again, like every time we turn around, there's a there's something, I want to say, negative, something tragic, something scary, if you will. Now, what I wanted to speak about briefly, and this happens both at a practical level and I'll tell, I'll explain at an existential level. Well, what is that? Well, that's like the human attraction to tragedy. Now, if you've been in my parent groups or just spoken to me personally or what have you, uh, when it comes to parenting, let's say, for instance, we all want to be the best leaders that we can possibly be, but we can't be the best leaders that we can possibly be from a depleted position. If we're not doing mentally well, if we're not doing physically well. And I've often spoken to parents who worry a lot. A lot of parents think that if they're not worrying, that it's a sign that they don't care, or if there's another parent, involved, a spouse or what have you, and they think that person isn't worrying, that somehow that person doesn't care. Actually, that's not true. When we worry, there's a few things that go on with it, but obviously, chronic worry really takes a toll on us mentally and physically. And if we really want to fulfill our promise to be the best leaders that we can possibly be for our families and communities, then worrying doesn't really, isn't really a benefit whatsoever. And there's definitely a difference between worrying and concern. And I've unpackaged that in some of my other videos. But I've often said, this is the kind of the phrase that I've used with parents, is don't feed a tragic narrative. In other words, don't feed a tragic story. Well, why do we do that? Why do we do that? I mean, I can tell you, after almost 33 years of counseling, and offering people, I guess you could say, uplifting, inspiring advice and education, et cetera, offering people opportunities to think differently, to think in ways that would empower a person, would make people better leaders and lead to health of mind and body. People almost 80% of the time do not take that advice or go in that direction. Why is that? We seem to have an attraction to the tragic. We seem to have an attraction to, we all know this, like, what makes money? You look on TV, you look in the newspapers, social media. It's not the happy stories. It's the tragic stories that people are attracted to. Why are we attracted to that? Well, I think there's the explanation to that is really big, and I don't have time, or I don't want to take the time here, because it probably just, it's a lot to take in. But just to say we do have that, and I was listening to a YouTube video posted by Jordan Peterson. He was interviewing a guy called Murray Tupy. And so if you get a chance, I think it was the name of the video was like the 10 trends that global trends you need to be aware of. And that was in May that Jordan posted that up in YouTube. But yeah, if you don't know Jordan Peterson, or you're not following his work, he's one of Canada's greatest minds, and you'll want to do that. You want to check in to see what he's saying. I also have many of his YouTube videos in my own library. So if you want to go to my library and check that out. But they were kind of taking on the big question of why people gravitate to the negative, especially when so much research and data shows that we live in a way better world now than we did 20, 30 years ago. Even 50 years ago, 100 years ago, they were showing it's just incredible the amount of positive growth that we've experienced. So one of the things that I thought of, and I'll just leave this with you, is that the human psyche is in between two things. One, again, the tragic, and then the things that would bring us joy. We are in this as a result of being human beings. Many mythologists have said, here's kind of where we're at, is that from the day we're born, like, we all experience joy. It's a joyful thing, a birth of a child. At the same time, there's some sorrow to it, because life is hard. As parents, we know that. We give birth, we experience joy, but we also know that our sons and daughters are in for it. The Buddhists say life is suffering, right? And many different spiritual disciplines also say the same thing. Life is hard, life is tough. Not only that, we're all going to die someday. So from the moment that we're born, we have to also consider that we're going to die. And so it would make sense that those are the two really biggest things that a human being can experience. Both of them are mysterious. How we come into the planet, how we leave the planet. Incredibly mysterious. And that's what we kind of call existential. It has to do with life and death. And so we have joy on one end, and anxiety could be seen as tragedy on the other. Now, one of the things that I guess you could say from a cultural, and especially ancient cultural, and also mythological standpoint, is that we used to have those balanced. We talked about stories of joy, and we had stories of tragedy. But when you take away the stories of joy, all you have are the stories of tragedy. You see, those two stories of life and death are so deeply embedded in the human psyche that, of course, we're I guess you could say, preoccupied with them. But we have to be preoccupied with them at the surface level, because if we really stop to ponder birth, it's well beyond our understanding. Same thing with death. So we can get stuck in those places. So we get fascinated with some of the more contemporary or shallower kind of aspects of both joy and tragedy. We're attracted to those two things. But when we start losing the stories of joy and happiness, then all that's left are the stories of tragedy. And sadly, we live in a society right now that has really kind of dismantled and attacked the stories of happiness. And so what we're left with is the stories of tragedy. And so I want to leave that there with you, and so you can think about that. But check out that video by Jordan Peterson, and and stay tuned to the channel. I may do a follow-up to this one because I know it's a really big topic. All right, guys, I sure miss you. I miss you terribly, and leave me some comments and let me know what you'd like to talk about. There's a lot going on in the world. I would love to share some more with you. All right, take care of yourself. I really mean that. Take care of yourself. Eat good, get some sleep. Get your vitamins and all that kind of stuff. Um, and and I just wish you blessings. All right, have a great day, and find those happy stories, those happy narratives, those happy mythological stories to hang on to, because those are so important. All right, you take care, guys. Bye.